Okay, so can you please just introduce yourself, who you are, and how you got to Chinese medicine?
Oh, okay. There's a story though.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
So my name is Yu-Chih Chen, and my parents immigrated to South Africa, where we stayed in Johannesburg for 2 years, and the rest, I think, 8 to 11 years in Cape Town.
Wow.
And so I received my primary school and high school education in South Africa. And when I was going on to university, my parents believed that I should study something beyond Western medicine because I was already in med school. But they believed that Chinese medicine would be important, okay, for being a doctor. So I returned to Taiwan and I came to China Medical University where I studied medicine and Chinese medicine.
Okay, so you lived in South Africa for a number of years.
Yes,
Did you ever live in Taiwan when you were younger?
yes,
Oh, okay.
yes, until about 8 or 9 years old.
Oh, okay, okay. So, for the listeners that don't know, because majority of my listeners probably from the States, and we're used to Western medicine. So, what exactly is Chinese medicine?
Chinese medicine is a discipline of medical understanding of the human body that has evolved throughout the history of China. Nowadays, in the modern setting, Chinese medicine is more commonly known for being acupuncture,
Mm.
but besides acupuncture, there is also cupping, bleeding, scraping, sorts of techniques for the body. And I think in the States or in Western worlds, the lesser known part of Chinese medicine, which is actually also the essence of Chinese medicine, is the use of Chinese herbs.
Mm. Okay. Can you explain the differences that you notice between Western medicine and Chinese medicine? Because
Okay.
I know I've noticed a big difference. I grew up in
Yes.
Western medicine, and now I'm getting Eastern medicine. So I notice a difference. But I want to hear from you and what you see as the big difference.
Okay. From my clinical experience, I think with Western medicine, we try to understand the body in ways where we could actually absorb, actually where we could observe,
Mm.
say through the microscope
Mm-hmm.
or through lab results. Okay, and it has given us a very thorough and let's say experimental observations of the human body.
Mm.
However, Chinese medicine works with energies or what we know as qi. Okay, that is based on an entirely different way of understanding the human body. For instance, a Chinese medical doctor can understand how a certain individual is feeling or experiencing inside his or her body just through a pulse taking. So
Mm.
that is actually based on a very different approach of the human body. And therefore, treatments will also be emphasized on how to bring a body into a better or more comfortable equilibrium.
Okay. All right. Sounds very different than Western medicine. Okay. What do you feel is lacking in the medical community?
Mm, I think it is the general quality of medical care. Okay, because medicine is a very expensive, both for doctors who are learning to become doctors in their training, as well as for patients who actually have to pay for medical service.
Mm.
I think we are relatively fortunate because we are in a modern era where medicine is more commonly service to the public. However, there are still so many who cannot afford such medical services, and I think that is what all doctors would wish to improve in their society.
Mm.
However, there are difficulties because, say, with Taiwan, we are under the national health system, and some patients are so used to paying with the NHS methods, that they are limiting themselves to, say, possible better medical care where they might have to pay more. So there could be, say, lacking, but this is also what we have both as humans in our communities. And this is also a dilemma for both patients and doctors to face in the future.
So, because Taiwanese people are so used to just paying for the basics, you notice that a lot of them don't pay the extra.
Yes, sometimes they would feel less encouraged to pay more, and they feel that, well, if I am already paying monthly to the NHS, I might not have to pay so much more for medical services. However, with such ideas, they might be limiting themselves to disrespecting their bodies and what they might actually need.
That's interesting because as a foreigner, we're so used to paying so much more. So
Yes.
I know as far as myself with an acupuncture treatment, I was getting just the minimum at first. And then I started full treatment. And then you said how much it was. It was, what is it, like 600 NT?
Yes,
So
about that.
that is 20 extra dollars. So as a foreigner, I do not mind paying that at all. But I could see how a society who is used to just paying the minimum would see that. So I could,
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's
Yes.
interesting. So what is your perspective on healing and energy? Because I know we've talked about that more,
Yes.
but I think people from the States would like to know more about healing and the energy in Chinese medicine.
Okay. Let me try, say, talk about this from an acupuncture point of view.
Okay.
Okay. So the way I perform acupuncture is actually very different from many acupuncturists. Okay, both in Taiwan and maybe abroad as well. For instance, certain points or acupuncture points can incite some sort of neural excitement or muscular tension or reflex when what they call done properly. Okay, yeah, that's what they believe. But from my own experience, I have discovered that when treatment tries to lessen extra stimuli as much as possible, it can actually allow the body to thrive on its own and bring about a better equilibrium on its own. And I think that is the essence of personal healing, whether on a physical level or a mental level or as a holistic being. So when I perform acupuncture, I actually try to
Go ahead.
So when I perform acupuncture, I try to bring about as little tension for the body as possible, because once the patient is fully relaxed and there is no extra stimuli inserted when I'm putting the needles in, the body can actually wake up on its own. Because for me, acupuncture is actually about bringing a better communication, that is energetic communication on a cellular level. And this involves ionic exchange or substance exchange or chemical reactions in between cells, okay, especially from a neurology point of view. And when the body is under tension or when there are injured tissues, the cells cannot align themselves so nicely that each cell can be supplied with enough blood and oxygen. And this would result in some competitiveness between or among your own body cells, okay, because the tissues cannot be aligned so well. And with proper acupuncture, I can try to lessen this existing tension between them, and they can start to communicate like normal cells again. And with this, they can bring for themselves a better equilibrium and a more stable energetic presence. Okay, so this is my own way of practicing Chinese medicine or acupuncture, and it is actually very different from what most doctors still believe at the moment.
That's interesting. Um, as far as diseases that your patients might have, say they have cancer or they're dealing with other ailments, how do you approach that in Eastern medicine? Because Western medicine has a set plan. They use
Yes,
radiation, they use chemo.
yes.
Um, do you treat patients with those diseases? And if you do, how do you go about treatment?
Okay. Okay, say a patient comes and he or she has cancer. Okay. Um, we usually still respect the patient's will or ideas about receiving Western treatment because they can be crucial. For instance, if a tumor is benign but it might have a possibility of going malignant, then of course it is better to have it surgically removed. That is the logical thing to do. And in Taiwan, we try to collaborate between Chinese and Western medicine in such ways so that the patient can receive what we call the optimal treatment possible. For example, a patient who is, say, um, what's the word? A patient who is expected to have surgical removal of, say, cancer cells and the subsequent, say, chemotherapy and radiation. So he or she undergoes all these, but with Chinese medicine, we can try to stabilize the body throughout the process with herbs, with acupuncture, and we can bring about the body to be more energetically full so that they can withstand the side effects of these treatments in Western medicine. And that is a very, very useful and valuable part of Chinese medicine and what it can offer to patients who, say, may have cancer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can you give some advice to my listeners on how to improve their health or their well-being?
Okay. There are some very basic rules in Chinese medicine. So the first of them is to avoid anything cold. Okay.
I noticed
So-
that. I noticed that in Taiwan. A lot of
Yeah.
my colleagues are like, "Don't drink cold water. Drink everything warm, warm, warm."
Yeah. Okay. There's a very scientific basis on that. Okay. So even if we are not talking about qi or Chinese medicine, you can think of your body as a living organism. Okay, that needs to maintain a certain degree of temperature, of body temperature, because we are warm-blooded animals. And whenever your body is exposed to cold, okay, anything that is lesser than your body temperature, your body has to do extra work to make sure that it doesn't go into hypothermia. Okay, so it is the same with, say, you have muscular tension or sore back or lower back pains. When your body is exposed to cold, say in winter, you would want to curl up, right? And so will your muscles. Okay, so if you already have tension in your muscles and you expose yourself to, say, moving air or cool winds, your muscles will tighten up furthermore because it feels this cold. Now, this cold can sometimes be felt by the person or sometimes not. Okay, so that is also why some people like to drink cold things because they feel hot. I feel hot and I want to cool down, therefore I'm drinking cold things. That makes sense too, but most of the time when people want to do that, it is because they have this what we call waste heat inside the body. Okay, and this waste heat is built up with an entirely healthy person going through his or her daily lives. Your body will create extra heat that it cannot be reused It is like a car engine heating up. It has to let out this extra heat. And when the body mechanism is not so comfortable, or when the equilibrium is broken, your body cannot let out all these waste heat very smoothly, and therefore it accumulates in your body, and it causes you to think that you are hot and you would want to eat or drink cold things. And that aside, when you put anything lesser than your body temperature into your mouth, you are bringing the cold straight inside of you. And your body would actually need to warm up these cold things, whether it's liquid or solid. It has to warm it up to a basic body temperature before any digestion or absorption can take place. So if you are putting these things inside your body needs to take out all these reserve energies to heat it up first, and then go into the normal physiological functions. And this is why we would say don't drink cold things, or don't expose yourself to cold.
Okay. Any other advice you could give to the listeners?
Don't sleep late.
Don't sleep late.
Well, sleeping is important because it is the most natural form of rest for your body. So when people start sleeping late, you will feel fatigued during the day, and gradually you might find yourself having difficulty falling asleep. Okay, it has to do with some of the waste heat we just talked about. But basically, don't get cold. Okay, keep warm. Don't sleep late, and what else? Don't look at cell phones too much.
Don't look at cell phones. Yeah,
It's actually very bad for the eyes.
it seems like it's almost impossible for people in Taiwan not to look at their cell
That's
phone.
true. That's true. Yes. Okay. Yeah, we all have different stressors in life, but I think the closing message would be you have to believe in your own body. Okay, when it is uncomfortable, you have to trust yourself to find out what is wrong with it, and you have to also believe that you will find a way to help yourself feel better and get better. Okay, because this is a human life is not like any other life, and we are solely responsible for our own body and our own experiences in our lifetimes. So I hope that everyone can find their own best ways to look after themselves. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. I know you're busy, but I appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Okay,
And I
thank
hope
you.
that the listeners can learn from this. And
I hope it's not too scholarly.
no, it's okay. It's all right. All right.
Yeah.